Yo, what is going on, guys? SMH Super Mario Hoops back with some more hoops, and today we are hopping right back into our top 50 list in NBA history. As you guys have probably seen a lot of the videos, we've made one video for every single player on every single spot on this list. And today, as you might notice from the title and the thumbnail, we are talking about Allen Iverson, aka The Answer. So where did I rank The Answer on my all-time list? And that's a great question, but I have him ranked 43rd. Now, before we hop into Allen Iverson, I'm going to need you guys to hit the like button, subscribe, also hit that notification bell as well, and even the comment. You can hype that up if you want, or you could even just reply with what you think about Allen Iverson. Hey, as long as it's not negativity down there, I do not mind. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So Allen Iverson, over the course of his career, was an 11-time NBA All-Star. In fact, it was every single season from 2000 until 2010. Of course, take this with a grain of salt, because in the 2010 year, he did kind of get a cheap deal, considering he didn't play many games, and it was kind of his farewell. But regardless, still even making a decade's worth of All-Star appearances, that's pretty impressive. A 7-time All-NBA player, 3 of which he made All-NBA first team in 1999, 2001, and 2005. 3 times he made All-NBA second team in 2000, 2002, and 2003. And he made third team All-NBA once in 2006. And as many people know about Allen Iverson, he was the 2000-2001 NBA regular season MVP. He also was a 4-time NBA scoring champion, both in 1999, 2001, 2002, and 2005. And in terms of his steals championships, he was a 3-time steals leader every year from 2001 to 2003. Now, as you might have noticed from his scoring championships, he was a prolific scorer. In fact, his 26.66 points per game in regular season is the 7th highest in NBA history, and his 29.73 points per game in the playoffs is the 2nd highest in NBA history. The only person higher than him on both lists is Michael Jordan. And as we mentioned many times before on this channel, and you'll hear a lot of people mention this just in general, is that the best ability is availability. And maybe not Allen Iverson playing, 82 games every single season is what we're going to talk about, but the fact that he led the league in minutes per game for 7 seasons in his career, that's just insane when you think about it now. That's actually the 2nd most times ever by a player behind Wilt Chamberlain, and the highest since the NBA-ABA merger. He averaged over 40 minutes per game in 11 of his first 12 seasons in the NBA, which, thinking about it now, nobody really touches 40 minutes per game in today's era. Now, much like my point in the Pistol Pete Maravich video, Allen Iverson had a huge role in accounting for a majority of his team's offensive production. In fact, in his 2000-2001 MVP season, the 76ers averaged the 15th highest scoring output of 94.7 points per game, while Allen Iverson's stat line came out to 31.1 points per game, along with 4.6 assists, 3.8 rebounds, 2.5 steals, 42% from the field, 32% from 3, and about 81% from the free throw line on 52% true shooting. This accounted for about 47.6 fantasy points per game. And if you don't know what fantasy points are and think it sounds kind of dumb, it very well can be, but it's also a stat that gives recognition to different weights of every stat that a player accumulates. So it would heavily favor the fact that Iverson averaged over 31 points, or the fact he averaged 4.5 assists or 2.5 steals, and kind of put them all together in one stat. And since he was the league leader in points per game and steals per game, along with usage rate, then this speaks a testament that he contributed to an abnormally large part of his team's success that year in the regular season, especially on the offensive end. Now let's talk about his MVP shares. As we know, he won the 2001 MVP, but he was also top 10 in MVP for 7 of 8 straight seasons from 1998 till 2006, with the only exception being the 2003-2004 NBA season. In terms of career usage rate, his 31.83% ranks 4th all time behind Michael Jordan, Russell Westbrook, and just a hair behind Kobe Bryant, which once again shows his large responsibility of the team's offense over his career. Now, in terms of defense, most people recognize that AI wasn't a great defender by any means, regardless of his 3 steals titles, as he typically gambled in the passing lanes very often. However, he did actually have a positive defensive net rating for 6 of 7 seasons from 2001 until 2008. This included every single season besides the 2002-2003 season. Granted, a lot of that is kind of lineup based, and he did have some great defenders alongside him as well, like Mutombo and George Lynch and so on, but I think that should still be noted. In terms of PER, Iverson has a 20.92 PER in his regular season career, which ranks him 57th all-time, and a 21.24 PER in the playoffs, which ranks him 33rd all-time. Over his playoff career, he averaged over 30 points per game in 4 of 8 postseasons and 7 of 14 playoff series. This includes 6 straight series from the start of the 2001 playoffs until the first round of the 2003 playoffs. And yeah, maybe he wasn't the most efficient scorer, as we mentioned, and maybe he only made one serious run at a championship when the Sixers lost 4-1 against the Lakers in the 2001 finals. But like I said, he was their offense, and you can't discredit him for that. In fact, we should give credit to him for his unreal Game 1 performance to give the 2001 Lakers their only loss of the playoffs and keep them from having the first ever undefeated postseason. As Iverson dropped 48 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 steals on 18 of 41 shooting from the field, 3 of 8 shooting from 3, and 9 of 9 a perfect free throw line performance, which included an all-time iconic shot where he stepped over Tyronn Lue. And even earlier in that playoffs, he dropped the second most points in a fourth quarter with 26 points against the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals, only behind Sleepy Floyd, where the Sixers would go on to win that series in 7 games as well. And since the NBA-ABA merger, the only players to make the finals while averaging 30 points per game in every playoff series that put up a higher postseason point per game performance than Allen Iverson were LeBron James in 2018, Michael Jordan in 1993, and Michael Jordan again in 1992. I think that's pretty elite company if you ask me. And as we know, he had a huge global impact. I mean, Iverson is up there with the likes of guys like MJ and Kobe in terms of popularizing his style into the culture of the NBA, as well as possibly the world. You know, people would begin to start wearing arm sleeves, braids, headbands, tattoos, and more simply because of Allen Iverson. Sure, he didn't invent any of it, but it was authentic to the community he came from, and therefore he was the first superstar to bring it with him to a national audience. And yes, people always talk about how you change the NBA in terms of its game or the roster implications, but I think a cultural change this strong deserves just as much attention for its influence on the NBA. In conclusion, when it comes to my Allen Iverson analysis, I would say that he is properly rated. I mean, there's an argument to be made that he is a top 10 scorer of all time and has a case as the GOAT ball handler as well. Along with his individual dominance for roughly a decade's worth of time, I know some people try to overvalue his pure ability while others try to undervalue him by pointing out his lack of success or inefficiency. But that needs a lot of context because anybody that knows about Iverson's days in Philly, and even with Denver, with the exception of Carmelo Anthony alongside him, he had to carry an insane amount of his team's offense. He also brought entertainment to the style of playing and even enjoying basketball from a player and fan perspective. And he always gave his best effort every single night. Must be from all that practice that started to wear on him.
I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about Allen Iverson, aka The Answer, because I feel like obviously he's one of those players that has an extremely strong fan base and extremely strong hate fan base, if that's a thing. But when you watched him every single night, you knew he was one of those players that was going to give it his all. Of course, one thing that people might hold against him is the fact that his career ended so abruptly. But I think even in the time that he played, along with being an undersized guard, I mean, he's labeled as a 6-foot player, but I think a lot of people have mentioned that he's probably about 5'10", maybe 5'10 and a half. And when we've seen players in the past, such as Calvin Murphy or Isaiah Thomas, the one with the Boston Celtics, have these level of seasons, then everyone pays them insane attention and insane respect. But the fact that Allen Iverson, for pretty much a decade's worth, was an all-star, over half of a decade's worth, he was an all-NBA player, he was a league MVP, multiple-time All-Star Game MVP, multiple-time scoring champion, multiple-time steals champion, and a prolific scorer both in the regular season and the NBA playoffs. I mean, what more could you ask for? Because this guy could kind of do everything in terms of the offensive end of the game. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. I'm going to have more videos to make, don't you worry. But without further ado, I think I'm going to end the video. So thank you guys for watching, and I'm out. Peace.